say in judgment, we say the Lord will let you get fat on your wickedness, and the Lord let Polight get fat. He went out there was with Money Mayweather, took a picture of Kobe Bryant, with
floor seats, all
type of stuff,
Rolls Royce,
and now he in jail for rape.
Crazy.
The debate was out here in Atlanta next to me.
Yes.
Yeah, at the CNN studios and everything.
Yeah. Now you didn't want to roll up on it. You didn't want to,
Well, it was a private thing,
True.
so it was
but private never stop a hardcore guerrilla journalist, though.
No.
We're gonna get in their space and get a mic in their face.
I was talking to Red yesterday. I was with him and Blue yesterday. We were doing some work and stuff like that. We were planning on going, but the way time moved and things like that, it just wasn't. It didn't make sense for us to shoot down there. But one thing that Blue said to me was basically they denied any like black media to actually be there to cover the event. Yeah, that's what he was explaining to me. He was basically saying like a lot of the black representing media weren't even allowed to come down there and things like that, or they weren't giving a pass and things like that. So I was like, whoa, that was news to me, because he told me there was a lot that were applying to come to cover the debate, and they were rejected.
Well, I mean, for me, and obviously I respect Red and Blue, I respect everybody, but now that story has more legs if they give a name, at least one, mid to average size. Because I can understand them not letting everybody in, but like a Roland Martin, or maybe even
I'll get the direct information so I can update on who specific that they rejected as far as the black media. He did tell me, but I don't have it in the top of my mind right now.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Because for me,
I'll get an update,
and that helps me. It keeps me on my square because that you're right. If that's factual, because when I speak that to someone, because that's a whole bunch of stuff. That's collusion. That's exclusion. So if that was a policy that we're going to minimize, even though we know that's how they move, but they rarely show their hand that blatantly, where you got mid to large size black representatives, journalists and guerrilla journalists that are out of the box say, no, you can't come, you can't attend. But now the whole debate didn't have any media in general there.
No, definitely. Yeah, there was nobody in the building. Yeah.
But outside press conference, they're saying they couldn't even attend because I know they said something on their way in and out.
Yeah. No, I'm not. Listen, I don't want to give any wrong information. So,
all right, let me know. Definitely
that was kind of what was said to me, but I'll give a further update. Well, just want to say salute, peace to the family. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day, a wonderful evening. Whenever you get a chance to watch this and tap in. First off, I want to say appreciate you, Brother Smalls, for pulling up and continuing this energy, and we're staying on the debate, man. So if you guys need updates on what's going on, if you just don't care about what they saying, you come to us and get some type of information and know a little bit of what's going on from the black hand side of things. You feel what I'm saying?
Exactly.
First off, Brother Smalls, how did you feel about yesterday's first presidential debate?
Well, let me greet my viewers on this wonderful platform, Peace and Pan-Africanism, as I open. And and we're going to discuss the debate. Now, first of all, I'm going to do what most folks still do on YouTube too often, because, the egos on YouTube is like so immense. They never wrong. Everybody right on YouTube. I was out of the box for him. I made a prediction that Joe Biden was going to come up with some national emergency that he wouldn't even attend the debate.
Wow.
Now, I made that. Yeah, I made that prediction based on just how he's been at the news conferences and just engagements, man. He's been missing a step or two for a while. So in a debate situation, which like we're going to discuss, you gotta be on your toes, your engagement ability, your ability to turn a phrase, and both of them did that at different opportunities. But I didn't think he would do it. So he got there. How did he do? I think he did fairly well for the challenges he had against him. But there was clear points where you can tell there was that freezing where the eyes started to flitter and then he started to rock back and forth. But so again, I was wrong in thinking that he wasn't even going to show. But he did show. I think Trump got the edge. But I'm looking through social media. I don't know if it's a hype thing. They try to say, "Oh, Trump got ragdolled. Trump didn't." I'm like, what debate was you watching? So I'm thinking some people's uh, prejudices even are slipping in as to who they wanted to come out on top.
Yeah.
But I know I look at it
I,
just with an even palette.
I don't know, who you're following, but on my end of social media, all I keep seeing is, it's nothing about the conversation isn't about the policies or what was said, but the style of the interview, the
Style.
funny moments. Because most people, from most comments that I'm seeing, most, things that I'm following, they're just making fun of Joe Biden. They're
Yeah,
making fun
yeah.
of the fact that he can't speak all the way correctly, that he looks like he's out of it a little bit. There's moments
Hmm,
where he
hmm,
looks like, okay, he got it. But like you said, he's fluttering, he's stammering,
hmm.
and then at one point, Trump even says, I don't think, he makes sense. And I don't think he knows that what he's talking about. You know what I'm saying? So I think Trump is, being real savvy and digging at him to make these viral moments on Joe Biden. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and for the people who don't really care just for the entertainment side of things, I feel like Trump won in a sense because it's like he was himself. He
Hmm.
was, he was Trump, like whether it's a fact or it's not a fact, he stood on his ground about what he felt about how he felt about it. He brought it home, what I'm saying, to his people. He didn't answer what you wanted him to answer. He answered how he wanted to answer. He was classic Trump. And Biden, I'm not gonna lie, he looked like, at points, yes, he looked like okay, he might not be all the way gone, you know, but it did look like, and I didn't know they were so close in age. I didn't know they were so close in age, and for them
Yeah.
being so close in age, Trump looked like the more the one who's a little more cognizant of what's going on.
Right.
And the funny part is
Agile.
when they started talking about their health and they're talking about the golf and all this. I'm like, what am I watching at this point? What am I even watching? What is this?
Exactly.
He said you got to carry my bag. You got to carry your own bag. I'm like, what the heck am I even really watching? What is
Yeah,
this?
yeah. They talk this old white man stuff. I'm like, yo, hey, most of the country ain't even identifying with y'all right now. And what
Exactly.
your physical aptitude assessment, yeah, I did 19 holes. I can hit the ball real far. I mean, but your assessment I would agree with. Being close in years, you would not think, based on the difference in mental agility and cognitiveness. You got to give Trump that, and then swag. Trump is a showman. He brought it home repeatedly about subject matters. He was on his bro game. It's like, yo, man, they don't respect you, man. Yo, man,
Yeah.
the military don't even. You're the worst, man. He's like, yo,
Hmm.
when I was in there, they would never have tried that or some
Yeah.
gangster ish. So
Yeah.
Trump
There was
Trump
no
brought it
war. Trump said there was no wars when I was out here, running the country. Well, it wasn't no wars. We wasn't fighting. He
Yes,
said nobody died under my watch. No American
yes,
soldiers died under my watch.
yes. And what arguably probably the worst topic you would think he would even want to be anywhere near. He hit that one straight out the point, flipped it immediately, and it's the January 6th.
Mm.
It's President Trump, paraphrasing. Any regrets for your causing this group to come and try to interfere with the Democratic Party on January 6th? Dropped it on him. I was like, I said, how are we going to deal with this? He said, yes, I'm ready to talk about January 6th. On January 6th, we didn't have any wars. On January 6th, you had more money. We didn't have the inflation. On January, he went on a tirade about
Hmm.
what was going on January 6th. Nothing to do with the insurrection. So I
Yeah.
just thought that was just any right on cue. He flipped it. Now he has some seconds left, so he brought it back. And he's still trying to couch that. He don't
Yeah.
want to
Well,
be seen. I'm
he
sorry.
he did say he doesn't agree and he doesn't
Right.
agree with violence. in any kind of way and things like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like that, you know.
on the tail end because he had some
Yeah,
seconds
yeah,
left, but right
yeah.
out the gate, that's what I noticed he did throughout. He kept flipping
True.
it, even on the tax question. He said, "Yeah,
Yeah.
the reason why the taxes are so high, you're destroying the Medicaid, you're destroying structure." He just kept it by the migrants that you're bringing, but he just kept bringing it back to the migrants.
Hmm.
So if you grade somebody for staying on their A game, if your strategy to win this is okay, you run center. If your playbook is this and you follow it, you got to get credit for doing your strategy. And
Yeah.
he really, even when, again, I sent you the Q4 to quote the black issues. Even with
Yeah.
that, those jobs that the migrants are taking, they're taking black jobs. Now, all of a sudden, we got black jobs. So they're taking black jobs and jobs from Hispanics. You're letting them in. You don't want us, then you put this on them too. You're either trying to destroy this country or you see them as a new voting bloc. You're trying to bring them in to secure your Democratic base. So he was just
Damn.
taking like real shots. Because if you're not stopping these people from coming in, what other ulterior motives? And he laid out these are your two possible motives. So Trump,
Hmm.
and even Ukraine. I looked at it at least three times because you missed stuff the first time through.
Of
Even the
course. Of course.
second, but by that third, man, and even he went at him with Ukraine. He said, if I was in office, Ukraine would have never happened. Under
Yeah. It
your
never
watch,
happened.
yeah, he
Yeah.
said under your watch, it seemed like you instigated it. And
Yes.
I've heard
Yes.
other bloggers say that they were
Yeah.
provoking Putin, man,
Yeah.
provoking
Yeah.
him. They were sending
Even.
different
Even.
weaponries.
Just to add on, even then, Biden was talking real tough. Yeah, Putin, they know not to mess with us. Kim Jong know not to mess with us. They know who we are. They
Yeah,
know we still the big boys of the block.
yeah,
Like Biden was talking like he ready for whatever type of situation. And Trump
right.
kept saying, "Yo, we're this close to World War III. This guy's gonna throw us into World War III if he become if he's president again." He said, "It's a fact. We're gonna be at war. Like this guy's promoting this. Like he wants to fight Putin." He says, "I come in there day one." He said, "Before my presidency, I had this shit shut down. I'll
Before he
shut this
even
down
get to the
before."
Oval Office, yes.
Yo, Trump be talking crazy. I'm like, come on, man. This guy,
But
he know how to
but
sell though.
that's what I was getting ready to. He's selling it. And politics is salesmanship. Whatever your idea is, you got to get it across to that person listening.
Yeah.
So when they pull the curtain in that booth, your voice is the one they hearing or they
Real
feeling
talk.
like, yo,
Yeah.
that's my man. And the thing is, the scary part is a good politician will have people even vote against their own interests. Now, even for
Mm.
that, a little segue, because again, as black people, first on the agenda, we should have been like, okay, what are they saying about us? So we touched on the little thing. I want to just draw a little distinction that is kind of interesting. And this comes from my perspective as a Pan-Africanist. Now, because, they had foreign policy as well. So that was the
Hmm.
segment, foreign policy, healthcare. So in the foreign policy, no black issue came up. Now, quite naturally, they're dominated by Gaza and Israel's situation. Ukraine was in there. But now, this is a United States election for president. So part of
Hmm.
that we can consider this was a voice or ideas being sent to people of the United States because this is for you.
Yeah.
But the world was listening to that. So from a United States perspective, black people ain't got no foreign interests. There's nothing happening foreign
Hmm.
policy that they got
Yeah.
to worry about to affect the African American. That
Mm.
has to be how they're taking it. Is that your
Yeah.
whole foreign policy section said nothing about issues that impact black people? Like
Hmm.
see again, part of their mindset and it's tactical to keep us disconnected. So what we do
Yeah.
over there ain't got nothing to do with y'all here. Now, we as a people on the foreign policy, we had to have had Haiti on there. We have to have Kenya. Kenya is in full revolution. They just
One hundred
burnt
percent.
part of the parliament because the people wasn't feeling, the collusion that the president is involved with. They say the
Yeah.
president of Kenya was involved with getting Libya, Gaddafi, backdooring Gaddafi. So I mean, so
Wow.
this guy,
That's
that's what I'm
deep.
saying. So he's on
That's
some
deep.
ultimate puppet
And
trick.
now they
But
have 400. They have 400 troops in Haiti and try to send 1,000. So that's like
that landed.
you just kind of hit the light bulb in my head. Like, whoa, what's going on then? What's really
Yes,
going
but
on?
Kenya wasn't brought up. Haiti wasn't brought up.
That's very true.
Sudan wasn't brought up. Not
Okay.
even brought up. So they're saying to African Americans, primarily because it's the American presidency, this your base, yeah, we ain't got nothing to say about your brothers and sisters. Y'all don't even rank in our
Yeah.
foreign policy considerations.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
now that's all. So I don't want us to blur past that as we just deal with details. We got to look at this, what they must think of us. You know, and Biden made a very interesting thing because Trump was on him when they said, you said billions. Every time this guy shows up, you're giving them billions of dollars to take back to Ukraine.
Zelensky. He
Yeah.
said you gave him 60
Yes,
billion.
he said I ain't got
So
nothing against him, but he an ultimate salesman. Every time he come in, and guess
yeah.
what Biden said? He said we have to send this money because there hasn't been a war that has started there that didn't impact the rest of the world. So
Wow.
look what white hegemony is saying about what their business is and what's important to them. I'm
Uh
sending
huh.
billions there because that's connected to me. I gotta protect where I'm originally from because that's going to snowball out here. But again, to us, they look at us. This is separate. So we ain't got to mention here, American. And they did. Now, let me say this in brief. And I definitely want to hear your thoughts. Two issues in the black section, which are close to my heart. The maternity issue. They said a black woman is 3 times more likely to die in childbirth-related ailments than a white woman. Another statistic they cited that a black person is 5 times more likely to be arrested and interface with the judicial system than a white, 5 times more likely.
That's yeah. I mean,
So
we
they
live
so
it.
okay, they did hit issues. Yeah, that's an issue, but yeah,
Yeah.
they don't ever want to treat us like a global people. So I just wanted
Hmm.
to make that connect. We had no foreign policy mentioned at all as far as a black person, and the local
Yeah.
ones related to paternity and to incarceration. But we're not just limited to those 2 issues, even though they're important. But they just
Yeah.
really have us boxed in into what they think black folks are going to go or
Yeah.
jump or react to.
Yeah, the whole black issue from what I'm seeing with them was like really just, oh, can we get them jobs or can we not get them jobs? I feel like that's kind of like
Yeah.
what we're relegated to. Like, can we get them jobs? Can we get it? Oh, maybe we could, give them a little more education. I think Biden at one point said, black people can learn just as good as white people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They can
And then
learn just as
also
good as a
he said, and again the mental
yeah.
flip, housing segregation. Now he mentioned segregation. Now segregation ain't been in the political sphere. Now obviously he's talking about discrimination, others, but in his he goes back to he said segregation. And
Yeah.
another little okey doke he did. Because again, if you don't tease out these comments, that's what he said. He said, under my administrations, more black businesses got started ever in history. Now, okay, which is great. Now, as a God, you a small businessman. I'm a
Yeah.
small businessman. You know the grit and grind that takes. And you know this also, if you've done any of the reading, any of the books, 50% of small businesses fail in the first
Yeah.
year. In the
Yeah.
first year. Okay, and then the 50% that's less, half of that is going in the next 3. So
Yeah.
it's the few that but for him to say what more started. Okay, if you don't know those numbers, okay, those half of them are going to
Yeah.
fail. So you're not
Yeah.
even giving a statistic that means
Yeah.
anything. I guarantee. Yeah, okay, but what do you have in place to stop the numbers
Yeah.
that already exist about sport? If not, then what you just said was a nothing burger. But it can
Yeah.
sound good. It's like
You know,
1,000 people started this marathon where okay, and then half of them is coughing and cramped out within two miles, and you're not saying much.
I look at this debate. I'm heavy in the battle rap culture. I look at this
Mhm.
debate like a battle rap, in a sense. And sometimes, they want to just give us the punchline, the thing that makes us feel good and say, woo. But a lot of it, they're not really giving us perfect setups. They're not even giving us great conclusions to these punchlines. They just want to give you that dopamine hit, that punchline to just make you feel good. That's I feel like especially when it comes to black issues, they never really have us in mind. It's really just to, make sure that they glaze over the conversation so they can just make us feel included. Like, okay, let's just kind of like give them a little something. because they'll never really truly have like real black issues. They're not going to talk about, reparations. They're not going to talk
Oh,
about the inequalities, the disrespect, all the things that happened over the years that kind of created black people to be in the situation that they are now. They just look at it like, hey, things are better enough for you guys now. You guys are okay, jobs, and we gonna do this, but it's never an apology or anything given for the things that happen. You know what I'm saying? Like to actually put black people in a situation where they can actually turn things around. At the end of the day, black people are still left to themselves to figure it out. You know,
it's it. Yeah. And you mentioned
it,
this reparations didn't even come up. You know that, right?
of course not. Of course not. Yeah,
So
yeah. Because it's like, why even? Why even? We could give if we're gonna give 300 billion away, we gotta give it to our special interests. We gotta give it
yeah,
to Zelensky and them boys over there. What
exactly.
we
Yeah,
look like giving it to Black Americans. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Or any
yeah.
Black countries. Period. You know. Because at the end of the day, regardless of how we feel we are now, we gotta understand that it's still a psychological war going on. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like just because, black people ain't in chains and you don't see segregation and things like that. No, there's people they're dealing with things through their self-interest now. It's like interest groups. So it's like if you're not a part of the interest, you just get left behind. So it's a whole different way of how they put you out there and they playing the propaganda game. They giving you who we got Trump and Biden, right? But who's running for president um, on the social aspect of things? You got Sexy Red. She got a music video where she's like she's the president. So they're like, "Yeah, this is your president. We'll give you Sexy Red." You know what I'm saying? In a
Wow,
sense,
that's deep. That's
you feel
deep.
me? So it's like, and this is in the middle of, I'm sure it's her campaign and whatever they're doing, but I just look at the psychological effect. It's like, she's pandering to this whole notion of we got this whole presidential campaign and things going, but it's like, yeah, sexy for president. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like, yeah,
And that's almost an intellectual insult, you know. And even before now, Biden got interviewed by Cardi B, right? And we know how
I,
deep she is, right? Yeah, but what they
yeah,
do, they set these things up almost. Yeah, let's give them something without even really respect. We got intellectuals you can sit down with if you want to
of
have a
course.
deep time or even the one subject to subject. You ain't got to cover
Yeah.
all the subject of the
Yeah,
black
but they don't
world.
want to talk to you. They want to talk to a Cardi B
No.
who's not going to challenge him and doesn't know anything about what's going on. Like,
Yes.
why would I
And
speak to
also,
somebody who's going to challenge me?
yeah, and get back to Sexy Red again. Now, if I'm not mistaken, and I think because it stood out in my mind a bit, Sexy Red just received an award from Planned Parenthood. Now, I don't know if you
Wow.
were aware of that,
I,
but
I wasn't. I wasn't.
yeah, one of her, either her songs or some of her creative input, she was
Wow,
speaking to
that's
the
deep.
benefit. Check this: the benefit of abortion, and I'm paraphrasing a bit, but Planned Parenthood, that's one of the major programs they push. So it's not just that they're using these people to as agents, and I'm using it in the term of agent in a general term. I don't know if they're official agents with the government, but agents of influence in sinister ways, not just beyond just getting a vote. She's pushing Planned Parenthood, which is pushing abortion, and we know those Planned Parenthood centers are predominantly in the black community. So
Yeah.
we know who, and so yeah, if it's not anybody who's listening, if you want to Google Sexy Red and Planned Parenthood, and those that information or that correlation. So they're not just using these folks for benign purposes. They are really trying to push agendas on our people that's going to ultimately impact our numbers, our health, or some way our trajectory as people. So we need to take this serious.
And I don't have the facts and all the information as far as like dealing with, because I seen abortion was a major issue. That was a
Mm-hmm.
big talking point. And you mentioned, black people are most likely to die and things like that.
Yes.
And you know, I don't know how true it is because these guys they have their numbers and things like that. Because I remember at one
Mm-hmm.
point that it seemed like white people were the like ones who were having the issues reproducing the
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
and things
Yeah.
like that. So
Mm-hmm.
when they saying black people are the ones most likely to die? Is it because we're just the ones also having the most children? We're the ones who's having the most babies and things like that. And another thing, I have 3 kids myself,
Hmm.
and it's like me being there with my wife. If I'm not there, I feel like the way that they treat us in these facilities and these systems, if a husband isn't there to treat his
Yes.
wife and make sure everything is good, and you know what I'm saying,
Hmm.
I could see how bad things can happen to that woman,
Oh, yeah.
because I had to
Easily.
be real
Quickly.
strong. I had to really
Yeah.
fight. They want to give them the drugs and do all this. Like if I want a
Yes.
natural birth, they make it a whole thing, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they'll find any way to cut that belly open. They'll find any
Yes.
way to do the
Oh my
C-section.
goodness.
Like it's
Yes.
like then they'll put you in a constant state of fear, like the
Hmm.
most, like, oh my God, like, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. Yeah.
almost, stripping that power, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Hmm. The same exact
So
thing happened, man. Yes, brother, you're right. But you answered your own question. So that is the reason. So it's not just that we're having more; it's the way we get treated. We
you
get
feel me?
treated different. This society treats black people. That's just the way it was founded on that. Now they got
Yeah,
different policies and laws, and like you think humanity is evolving, but there's some things that are so instinctive. They even say related to managing pain that
yeah,
that black people are much more less prescribed sufficient pain medications to deal with. Oh, they got terms like frequent flyer and this and that. And not that some people do abuse the system. I'm not saying that they don't.
yeah,
But if
yeah,
you bring that prejudice into your head and somebody's in front of you, because one of their major things is to help manage pain. Now you can't get
yeah,
your treatment or healing if you in excruciating pain. If you don't address that, anything else you come in, it ain't gonna
mm,
get in. So pain management is vital, and then it's statistics. This is not opinion, and I have a background in healthcare. They've done this, so they've tried to have policies to reverse it. So one is that then access to healthcare, prenatal. Again, we both had our first child within months of each
mm-hmm,
other, so we were
yeah,
right at the same. We're there at those visits,
mm-hmm,
and we know if we're not on our square to a hammer, everything looks like a nail. There
yeah,
wasn't a problem. They didn't have a medication for. But
yeah,
even right on her day of delivery, my wife, I know about positioning. I know about breathing. I know about stuff that they was ready just to give a drug for. And I said, nah,
yeah,
no, no, no. This is what we're
yeah,
going to do. So I was
yeah,
right there. And I'm like, push. Put now, check this. The doctor had his two nurses with him. He right there, but he saw I was the main one going. I had hurt one of my wife's legs in one position. He put all of them and pointed because he got his mask on. He said, follow my lead. So they a good professional will pick up on it and go with you. But if not, everything can
yeah,
be basically a drug is the answer or a cut is the
yeah,
answer. And if you
yeah.
don't have knowledge to offset that, it could be
Yeah,
bad.
for my first daughter, like one of the nurses even got upset with me and left because
Mm,
I was like, like at first, like I just didn't want, because I'm like, yo, I was fighting the whole C-section thing,
yeah.
and she's
Oh,
like, oh, so you just want your wife in pain? I can't be here for this, and I'm sitting here like,
what?
thank God, get this energy demon out of
Yeah,
here,
yeah, yeah,
please.
yeah. You needed to
Like,
not be here. And matter of
yeah,
fact, I don't
like,
want to see you back. That would have been my part. I
yeah,
hope
real
that's why I don't
talk.
see you. Yeah.
You feel me? So it's like you got to deal with a lot of this, and then when it came down to the vaccinations and things like that, it's a tricky thing because your whole life, especially me growing up, you just taught like this is just what it is. But doing my research and reading about the ingredients that's in a lot of these
Yes.
vaccinations,
Yes.
I refused them. I remember when I told the doctor I didn't want that. I'm like, yo, my baby's just born the day one,
Yeah.
and y'all trying to pump all of this into her. And so the
Exactly.
doctor asked me why I don't want to do it. So what I did was I asked him what's in the vaccination. He gave me a list. So I came back with research about everything that's inside of these vaccinations. I showed them, the side effects and things like that. He said, "Oh, okay, I understand. No problem. We don't have to do it." Just like that. It was
Z,
like first it was the
Z, ain't that
most. It was the
something?
most. It's a lot of pressure, but then I came back and I showed him with his own Google and
Hmm.
his own white, like, hey man, this is what your
Yeah.
people say. about your own medicine that you're trying to
Yeah.
inject into these babies. And he's like, okay, okay, no problem. No, no. You went too far. Most people don't even go that
Mhm.
deeply. It's all right. You don't need it. And just like that though. But it's like, hurry up, we gotta do this. But then you bring them the information. Now they're like, oh, it's not that serious.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's like
damn.
it's as soon as you prove you got truth, you got facts behind you. I went through the same thing, and to this day, my daughter has not had the MMRI stuff, and even
Neither one of my
then,
children.
and the domino effect of that also, especially in New York. I know you're in Atlanta. In New York, that affects the
Yeah.
kind of school you can go to because you got to
One
have
hundred
proof of
percent.
that stuff. So
One hundred
excellent.
percent.
And that's why I'm in the school I am because they don't, and this is with the Nation of Islam. That's why I got to give Minister Farrakhan his credit because he was on the right side of that issue from day one. He said, do not this is for the COVID stuff, but
Yeah.
even down to the children. Nah, don't let them shoot
Yeah.
the child up with that. So that's the school. And it's a great big school. But I couldn't have put my child in public school if I wanted to because
Yeah,
I didn't have the
I'm
paperwork.
dealing with that now because I'm homeschooling and
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to find the best situation for schooling for my
Mm-hmm.
daughter because I work so much.
I
It's really
know. I
tough
know.
doing both. Like my daughter, she's gonna be 6, and she reads very well. She knows how multiplication,
Mm-hmm.
division,
Mm-hmm.
addition,
Mm-hmm.
and she's not even 6 yet. So I watch
Wow.
her how much more advanced she is. So I'm like. So now I'm gonna bring it back in the school system, and then they make it a lot harder for you without the immunization and things like that.
Oh
And
yeah,
the funny
yeah.
thing is, she doesn't necessarily. None of my kids really get sick at all.
Right, right.
So
Same
it's
thing with
like
my daughter.
that's that. And I think there was a research that came out showing that a lot of kids that aren't vaccinated are less sick than those that are.
Yeah.
So
And,
but
and see, and this is real
yeah,
time. This is you looking at your children, watching them
yeah,
grow,
yeah,
knowing your child. And we sometimes walk into these buildings and these institutions and think somebody's going to know more about your child. Yeah, you got your medical degrees and your scientific studies, but no one's going to be more of a specialist than you and your own child. You've been seeing them
real talk,
sun up to sundown, every
real
meal they've
talk.
been had. You know how my daughter maybe has had two colds in her whole life,
Yeah,
a rash or some weird light stuff. Nothing ever serious.
yeah,
She looks a year older than because she's at the 94th percentile in her growth thing. And she's
yeah,
still getting 11, 12 hours sleep a day. We're
yeah,
keeping it
yeah,
to that. So
yeah.
when you're parenting like you do, and like when you hands on, you know what your health level is in your children. And if you
Mm,
stand on that, no one would ever divert you from that path because you're
I
willing to do
agree.
your research. You're willing to double check what this, white coat wearing professional told you.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they speak based on their training. I don't take from it, but
yeah,
I don't anoint it either. That ain't the voice of
yeah,
God. You got
exactly.
information stuff. And they send these people on vacations. They take them on lavish
Yeah,
meals and
they get extra money for
yes,
certain operations, like because every time they do an operation, every time
yes.
they cut you up, this is an
Every
extra bag. Like
C-section, every
every C
C-section
set,
is
yeah, this is extra
yeah,
bag. Like this is extra money. You know what I'm saying? And then the pills that follow to treat you,
yes,
all of that stuff is
yes.
extra money. So it's like you have a healthy pregnancy. It's like we just lost out on the
Nah.
bag.
Yep,
You know what I'm
no
saying?
bucks in healthiness. No bucks in a healthy
Yeah,
pregnancy. We
yeah,
got to find problems to solve because then it's cha-ching. But
yeah,
you're right. You're right, brother. So, and even it's good as men to be speaking about this because, these are usually issues our sisters are dealing with on
yeah,
their
yeah.
own and they shouldering it with the aunts and so brothers, we got to, especially hands-on brothers, we got
Facts.
to be there to make sure with our knowledge and with our presence to say, no, this is how, because in that state, that woman, I mean, she's in her most, she can't be her advocate
Nah,
at that time.
you,
So
one
you
hundred
got to
percent.
be there for her.
I agree. I agree. And I was there all my children from
Yes.
beginning to now. So I
Respect.
know, the sleeping in the hospital beds and all that. But I want to go back into the debate, right? As
Yes.
far as like, because since we're talking on this topic, what's your thoughts about their position in abortion and this whole Roe v. Wade back and forth, and you can rip her out the stomach in 9 months? It was some real deep,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
tough, crazy talk. Because it's like the charges that Trump put on Biden as
Yeah.
opposed to what he wants to do. Oh man, and then Biden vehemently, rejected it. But what was your thoughts on that aspect of the debate?
I mean, the word salad, the kind of the bars they was throwing. Most folks ain't gonna Google. They ain't gonna
Yeah,
read the report. They ain't gonna do. They're
true.
gonna listen to what's being said. And even in
That's
those
very true.
exchanges, Trump got the edge. He was able to, for lack of a better term, sling mud more accurately, and he's able to hit phrases even
Real
after put
talk.
the baby aside. That means kill her after. I mean, it's stuff. I'm like,
Yo, that was
oh my,
scary. I'm
yeah,
sitting here like, if I don't know no better, I'm like, damn, I don't want Biden as my president. You know what I'm saying?
right. On that
Yeah,
point at all. But again, for
yeah.
me, and for me, and this is the automatic filter, then I would suggest most folks would get it too, that you got to put on what does abortion mean for them folk and what does it mean for us. I already
Yeah.
explained the history of Planned Parenthood, where those centers are primarily set up. So when they're saying
Margaret
block it,
Sanger, Margaret
hmm,
Sanger, and the whole
Margaret
Margaret
Sanger,
Sanger, and
Sanger.
the whole idea that Planned Parenthood was created to actually eliminate black babies. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
And we also, the sexy red angle, that's what I'm saying. Google, guys, Google,
that's
she just
deep.
got an award in
That is
why.
super deep.
So
Wow.
which means it's a program that's fully active up until today in
Yeah,
influencing. So that's why. So who's for it and who's against it? It's not just that. Because what does it mean when that issue lands in our community? So for
yeah,
that, I mean, and it's a sad thing. Our women get the most abortions annually. Man, it's the
yeah,
numbers are staggering. And even
yeah.
in our, I mean, we're both married in committed relationships. But I know during my dating years, you get close enough to a woman, she's going to share different things about her journey and her challenges. And
Hmm.
I don't want to say 2 or 3 abortions were common, but I've definitely dealt with sisters that have had several. Now, for
Yeah,
that to even be
yeah.
considered one of the options that a woman has in the back of her mind to engage into, and then but that reflects back on her. She feels there ain't no support. This guy, he ain't really acting about it, and I don't know if he's going to be there or these. She didn't get pregnant by herself. So I'm not putting it
Yeah,
all on our sisters.
yeah.
But that's a number. So
But
I
they have they like I like the brother Kevin Samuels will say though, you know what I mean? Like women have men have access to marriage and women have access to sex. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? So
mm,
women got to be more selective and they have to make better decisions. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
With whom they choose to have unprotected sex with. You know what I'm
very
saying? Like
true.
that.
And but the first teacher of that woman was her father. Was he there? Was he in the house? See, it comes right back to
Yeah.
how
So it's a
she
breakdown.
makes her choice
Yeah,
based on what? Based on how she's taught,
that's real.
who
No,
taught
that's
her,
real.
who didn't
That's
teach her.
real.
So
That's true.
it comes. It's like so we can't separate anything that happens
But
to her from us,
well,
especially
the
if we the
father and the
providing
mother,
protector.
the father and the mother. Well, we
Right,
keep it.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Um,
yeah,
so
so so on that issue, it hits different depending upon how which side we look at it. So on abortion now, but then does law? Do you have to have a law? But I don't. In abortion, that's a human life, man. And,
yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah,
No matter what state it's in, like that. That's
yeah.
like to me, that's how I've always looked at it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
abortion is definitely like you
Okay,
know.
okay, I'll be right there. Yes, I'm sorry, my daughter
No, no,
popped
no.
up
You
and
good.
said,
You're good. Salute to the princess.
I'll be right there. Knowledge to God said hi. I'll be right there to come. And knowledge, can I take a quick break and come
Of course, of
right back?
course.
Right back.
Sure, no problem. And just speaking to you, to the people out there, like I always looked at abortion, you know what I'm saying, as something that, is definitely something I've always been against. I understand it and I understand, what position people could be in and things like that. But to me, it's a life. Regardless of how you look at it, it's a life. It's somebody's life. And, especially once that child starts forming and things like that, it's like hard to ever go back. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to look at it any other way for me. Like once you decide to terminate a child, that's what you're really doing. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're not allowing it to grow to become a person. So I don't know. I just think it's just a very, very serious situation. Um, Now, would I say I'm against, certain level of abortion depending on the situation? Because I feel like the whole conversation is about the ability to abort
My apologies, good brother.
No, no, you're right, bro. I was basically speaking to the people, and I was just basically
Okay.
giving them my stance on abortion and saying how I disagree with abortion, no matter what situation. But I understand if some because they use these minute situations as if it's the totality. If she's
Hmm.
raped or if she's about to lose her life and things like that. To me, it's like even if a woman's having pregnancy complications, I always thought it was about saving the child.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Not, of course, you're always gonna save the mother, but I always thought, this is a brand new life. You trying to, you know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? You trying to always extend and save the life of the child,
Hmm.
no matter what. So I just thought it was interesting, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Especially with Trump and the Roe v. Wade and the states having the ability or things like that, and
Hmm.
the fact that when you can have the abortion, when is it like deemed? Is it too early? 3 weeks, okay, the baby hasn't formed heavily yet, or
Hmm.
9 months after, so to me it's like what do you think about, the stance that they took on abortion?
Uh, well, even to use your example briefly before we even get to what their stance is and
Yeah,
who they're possibly throwing red meat to. In that instance, now in that instance, you have a mother expecting a child. So, but in my standard, as I said, that's a life as well. If the mother's life can is at risk, I think in those instances between the mother and the child, the legal precedent, and I almost think the moral precedent would have to go to the mother, even if let's say a young mother, this could be her first child, she can have other children. Whereas if you make the priority the child at the expense of the mother, it's like out of these two, okay, we're gonna save the child. Okay, mom, you've been here, you had a minute or two, so now it's a child's turn. So now you automatically bring it forth an orphan because its mother is not even there as its protector, as its
yeah,
so. But I think for
yeah,
a bunch of other reasons, in those settings, if the mother's life there's almost not even a choice. You always try to say both, but if it's one or the other, I think the mother definitely takes precedent. Now they're saying, and that, not to oversimplify it, but Trump and for his base and for the people who see a benefit in this is trying to push it to the states. He said he boldly taking credit. The last three justices I put on the Supreme Court is
yeah,
why we
yeah,
got rid of
yeah,
Roe versus. Uh,
yeah,
so that's why. So he's not ashamed of it. And Biden for his base trying to say no, I'm gonna get it back. He's trying to appeal to women. It's like no, no, no. That's the protection y'all need. Y'all need the right to like after a rough weekend and or your cycle is a week or too late. You'll need to have a pill that if life has started that you could extinguish, or you'll need to be able to comfortably go to any your local clinic and have
mm,
stuff vacuumed out of you, butchered and vacuumed out of you, not to use. But these are the things that's taking place. So now for the women who see that as yeah, that's my right. No one should tell me if I can or can't. Biden is trying to say that it should be national. No place should be able to bar you. You should have not just, and then we should pay for it. There should be medication cover it. Medicare should cover it. So he's thinking, and I don't know how getting a bunch of sisters, some really serious sisters over a few different. I would love to hear what they think because at the end of
mm,
the day, even me and you, we brothers. Biden, Trump, these are two men. Congress is predominantly men. So the politicians and the people deciding don't even got wounds, man. So
yeah,
we getting ready to cast a vote on something that's going to never impact us. But
yeah.
personally, but if you think you love your daughter, you love your wife, and so on and so forth. So
Yeah, because I think like, man, I just look at it, of course, from a personal aspect where it's like,
mhm.
man, imagine I would have told my wife like, nah, we can't have no more kids because I financially can't do it. Yo, so yeah, she comes and tells me I'm pregnant right now. I got kids already, and yeah,
Mhm.
life's hard. But for me to be like, nah, terminate it, we
Yeah,
good.
it's
Like
oof.
it sounds so cruel.
Yeah, it does. But
It
again,
sounds so
see,
cruel.
and the thing is, though, I try to again listen, see what women, and then the cultural aspects and who impacts the culture, the artists. Now I'll
Yeah.
point you to a song. I know you must have heard Lauryn Hill's song about her son Zion,
Yeah.
and you
And
know,
my heart is in Zion. Yeah.
exactly. And again, going back, and I keep going back because you know when you're in relationships, you speak. It was a sister. She loved Lauren, and she shared with me that that song helped her through a tough time. So again, women, what are women thinking and feeling about it?
That's
And in the
true.
song,
Yeah.
again, she
Yeah.
she and she it touched her so much. She made a song about it. And what was they
Yeah.
telling her? And I think this is Zion was her first. Like, girl, your career, man, girl, you know you don't need a child right now. You getting ready to
Yeah.
move, and you got people in your ear, kind of, you
Yeah.
know, and not that they're not even thinking for your best interest,
Yeah.
but you started a process that got a whole new. And they say, especially
Mm.
us as spiritual people, that the answer to our prayers are going to come through our children, man.
Children. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you killing off your answers. This one you've been, and you don't know how it's going to come through them, but it
Mm.
comes through them. So our job is to get them
Uh,
here. Now I know I'm speaking to one, and I know someone else. Well, a sister again, you're like, brother, you don't know, and I
Man,
can't.
no. Now, listen, I know sisters who done had
Mm-hmm,
multiple abortions and things
mm-hmm,
like that too. Like, you know what I'm
mm-hmm,
saying? Like,
yes.
to me though, it's like there are certain situations, but I be like, yo, certain people are just reckless. I just being reckless. Like I
Mm-hmm,
gotta say that. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm,
Because there's a
mm-hmm.
lot of instances where we're just being reckless, men and women. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying? We just,
very true.
you just want that good feeling and
Mm-hmm,
whatever. So you're
mm-hmm,
doing whatever. So it's like, and a lot of people who I know have gotten abortions and things. It ain't because they got raped or nothing like that. Right?
mm-hmm.
Majority. I don't even know females that got raped like that. So it's like
Yeah, yeah,
a majority of just females who just, and I know females with multiple kids who's had multiple abortions.
yes,
You know what I'm
yes,
saying?
yeah,
So
yeah.
like a lot of it, I don't want, I don't want to sound, it's dissensitive or anything, insensitive, but I feel like a lot of times people are just doing it as a cop out. You know what I'm saying?
I think on a topical cop out, but there are ramifications to that choice, man. And no matter, I mean, and don't get me wrong, it's we all have to go on with our life, no matter what choices we make, good, bad, indifferent.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that's a weighty choice, man. That has to cling to parts of us as we progress through
yeah,
life. And I speak of that, and I don't think I've ever even made this public. On the one time I was on the agreeing part of that process that stuck with me. And a long story short, I was in my what mid 20s. I was dealing with an older sister in her early 30s. Now learning a bunch of stuff. Now I learned the difference between being divorced and being separated.
okay,
So you can be separated, but you ain't divorced. So a
got
young
you.
man, an older woman, we got involved, and that led to a pregnancy. Now, for me, mid 20s and not knowing anywhere near as much as I know now, and I don't want to use that as a cop out. You 25, 20, you still enough to know, but the
Yeah,
circumstances, and then she was honest. She said she might want to get back with him. So a lot was going on. And so okay, so again, I agree that we stayed a year or two later, but the relationship dissolved. But in a small community, you tend to run into people. So I was running to the sister at different places, and then she said something to me. I think it was like the third time I ran into her, and she just pulled me and just said, "Herman, I see every time I can see something weighing on you. Let me be honest with you." And she shared this, even though it still doesn't take it fully away from, because I was willing to consent. She said while she was involved with me, she was still seeing, not still seeing. I mean, that was the woman's husband, but she was
yeah,
still sexually involved with him. So she said she really doesn't know if it was my child or whether it was his, and that was part of her dilemma. And she only shared that. This is years after we weren't even together anymore. But she
yeah,
saw it weighed on my heart because I had not
yeah.
had my first child yet. And so anyway,
Okay.
so the point is, I don't think men have a totally. It depends on the person. If you're a cold-hearted person, but I know for the women, if they carry it, you can't engage in
No, no,
that
no.
process and don't
I
think
agree.
you're not going to carry that. Because I still, even
Yeah,
with my beautiful daughter, and this is over 30 years ago, I still think about that. Possibly my child, I was willing to consent to.
Yeah, that's
So,
real.
so anyway, I just want to share that to
No.
that's part of my
I get
journey
it.
with you. That's part
I
of my
get it.
journey about that decision, and those who have to make it, it stays with you. So you got to pray on that deeply before that. That's not a decision to make lightly at all. It will stick with you for decades, for the rest of your life.
Hmm. Well, obviously, I see the abortion topic. It held close because we spent a good amount of time on this topic, and it's really it's a representation of even us being here. So I like when I was being conceived and things through my mother. My father wanted me to be aborted. You know what I'm saying? At one
Ain't that
point, you know what I'm
something? That's
saying?
deep.
So,
That's deep.
so when you think about these things, you feel
Hmm.
me? So it's
Yeah.
like, yo,
And
it's
then
a super deep
and
thing.
this and I am the fifth in my family.
Chief,
My,
yeah,
my parents' baby. So I was the
yeah,
last. So even I'm glad I came about in the era where it was okay to have 5 children. Like
yeah.
now, how many people they got 5 children today? So
I'm not gonna
meaning
lie. I know a couple battle rappers with 10 and 11.
what?
Yeah,
Man, you
I was
better
just having
touch their
a
ring.
conversation with Danny Myers. He has 10 kids, and we had a
Respect.
conversation after Father's Day. It was just a dope conversation, seeing how he is involved in all 10 of their lives. Even though he doesn't live under one
Whoa.
roof. So just hearing his process and things like that, I'm like, wow, 10 kids, man. And he's still a very young dude. He's 44, I believe. So it's like, damn. So it's like
Wow.
the
And
possibilities.
it's like he loving every moment of it, I bet.
Yeah, no, he was very like, man, I love my kids, da da da. Make sure that they all like we all together, we're able to still communicate. I'm like, wow, that's not easy, but it can be done. So it is like life is precious at the end of the day.
Yes. But you see just how far we went, how it hits us different. So
Real
it's
talk.
a different subject. And we just brothers. We had 2 other sisters here. You even have deeper
Oh yeah, no,
layers, man.
of course, of course, of course, of course. Um,